You stupid bitch. Yeah, you're a stupid bitch. You stupid bitch. Welcome to this week's spooky episode of Stupid Bitches Say What, the Aussie podcast about everything and nothing, but always with wine, and your spooky, stupid bitch hosts, Skye Lee Cullett and Sean Hipkins.
This week, it's pop culture, and whilst it's not quite Halloween yet, we wanted to start the spookiness of it all and chat about some of our fave urban legends,
Ooh.
which, as per the Oxford Dictionary, is a humorous or horrific story or piece of information circulated as though true, especially one purporting to involve something vaguely related or known to the teller. Liz is trying to fuck me up, people. Listen in as we tell the tales of the Licked Hand, Rat King, Teke Teke, the Blackeyed Children, or Hi Patrick, it's me, Walter, and the Babytron. What are you drinking, Sean Bino?
My tears of love. I'm drinking Eightfold. It's a 2020 Shiraz from the Willister Main in Margaret River. I don't really like Shiraz.
Willister Main?
Willister Main or Willister Main.
Where pro tell is Willister Main?
It's in the Margaret River region. As you know, I don't really like the Shiraz, but again, this was part of the whole bundle that I bought, and you know, I drink what I can
with that, aren't you?
just to get through the wine.
Mm.
How about you, stupid bitch? What the fuck are you drinking?
Great story, by the way. So surprise, I'm drinking a
Savvy B.
Savvy B. It's a Grant Birch. I don't believe that I have drunk this before because it's honouring the 1865 pioneer.
Oh.
I don't know what the fuck that means, but I'll get to it.
Who is the 1865 pioneer?
It also says
Burke
craft.
and or Wills?
It says craft with a K. So let's read, shall we? The Vigineron collection wines are sourced from exceptional vineyards. Blah blah blah. Okay, hang on. The craft Sauvignon Blanc is an elegant and refined style of Sauvignon Blanc. Comes from the Adelaide Hills. The wine possessions. It doesn't say anything about the fucking 1865 pioneer. What the fuck is that?
I'm googling it.
Please disregard.
It was the 1865 pioneer.
If you're not going to tell me what you're talking about on your label at some point.
Do you know who it was?
Who?
Well, according to this, the pioneer boy or the early life of Abraham Lincoln.
It's from Adelaide Hills, for fuck's sake.
Although it does say underneath that, a pioneer family of the colony of New South Wales and
it's from Adelaide Hills.
Colony of Queensland. So again, no. But
it also says craft. So it says K. So it says the Grant Birch. Then it says the pioneer, honouring the 1865 pioneer. And then it says craft with a K.
No, yes. They've got George Armstrong Custer. No.
That's
We're going to have to
misplaced advertising, plus.
Leave that one fucking dead in the water.
Dead as the doornail, plus. So how's your week been, stupid bitch?
Week has been good. I've got it's pop culture, so I have some viewing recommendations I love to get through.
Ooh, okay. I will jump in on some of this, I think.
So my first one is a Netflix series that's been out for a while now, and I've heard about it a lot, but I haven't watched it until last week. And I'm slightly obsessed. Heartstopper.
Okay, sure.
Have you heard of it?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know Kit Connor?
Nope.
I think you
can't say that I do.
If I show you a picture of him.
Sure.
Do you know him?
Never seen him before in my life.
Wow. Okay, so I think I've only probably seen him based on the fact
the little gay guy.
Heartstopper. So he's come out as
Oh,
bisexual.
sorry. Yes, I do know what you're talking about. It's the gay show with the two young boys in school, and they're both on the
Yes.
promos. Yes, yes.
Yes.
I've seen that. Well, I haven't seen the trailers, but I've seen the promos on
Oh,
Netflix. It's quite new, isn't it?
well, no. So it's season two's out. It's new in the
Yes.
sense that, yeah,
Season two's new. Yes, yes.
yes. Oh my God. It is the sweetest fucking TV series I've seen in such a long time. Like, I'm obsessed with it. I'm halfway through season two and I started it last week. It's okay. How do I
This wine is awful, by the way.
oh no. So it's basically there's a gay guy at school. I think he's 15, 16. He's just a shy sort of recluse guy, and he gets with this rugby player,
Sure.
basically, who's Kit Connor. But the story in it, it's not like Skins
Sounds
where
like Cruel
there's
Intentions Plus.
well, it's not that there's none over the top fucking storylines. There's
Like
no over the
Glee.
top drama things like Glee or like Skins, where it's full on hectic. It's just this little love story that goes through. It's very heartwarming. It's a
Oh,
simple watch. It's
nice.
like 20 to 30-minute episodes. And it's just
Just a big
fucking
softie, aren't you?
look, I don't usually go for these type of things like Bridgerton. See you later. But this one, it's just beautiful. And I think it's also got to do with the fact of you think of these things like, oh, imagine if like you actually able to, you see him running through the fucking town, holding hands and shit at 15 and 16. And, some of their friends are supportive and whatnot. So I think there's also that whole like, oh, imagine if back in
Yeah.
the day,
It's
but it's
nice for you
just,
to see that, right? Like, it's nice for
it's
them to
so
make shows like that.
representation is so important. And
Well, look, I know you've got some more things to talk about, but I'm just going to quickly jump in with one thing, because thank you for bringing into my world the head fuck that is Black Mirror.
oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So what shit show is that show?
I know.
Seriously, like
I'm so
every
glad you'll get into
episode.
it. Finny just couldn't get into it.
Well, Tyler has his moments. He perseveres. He by the end of the episode, he's like, "What the fuck?" and totally is like glad that he watched it. But I think each episode as well, it always starts in a way that you're like, "Where the fuck is this
Yeah,
even
it's
going?" And
confusing.
you have to stick with it for that
Yeah,
episode. And then it starts by the middle of the episode, it's starting to pick up a bit of steam, and you're really
yeah,
into it, and you're like, "What's even fucking going on?" And then the end is like, mind blown. What the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah. And
I
there's
don't know what's happening.
some sort of not life lesson or some sort of reality check at the end. We're just like, whoa.
Well, sometimes it's just like
Some of them are shit.
it's never a good story. Like like you're not going to watch it and go, "Oh, there's going to be a happy ending." There is
It's no
never
heart
a
stopper.
happy ending.
Yeah,
Every episode is like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" Yes, it's thought provoking, but those
that's
poor fucking
exactly what it
people in
is.
that episode.
Yeah, I know. That white bear, is it white bear? The
um.
one where they're all following her around with the camera, the phone.
Oh.
Something
That is
bear,
so bad. Yeah,
isn't it?
it's
Like,
because it's based on the actual, you don't want to say zoo, but it's the reform center that she ends up in because she's a hardened criminal.
yeah, but like
That's
when you're
messed
watching it, you're
up.
like, what's going on for that poor chick? And you're rooting for the chick. You're rooting for the what
Yes.
ends up being the criminal. Yeah.
Well, it's the same with the young boy who
Oh
ends up
yeah. That
getting
is
the
fucked
phone calls
up.
that he has to go to all the places and do all the things.
And all the other people have the same phone calls and they've all
And all the
they've all
shit that
fucked up.
they've done is like rotten stuff as well. But you like feel really sorry for them the whole way through, and you're like, oh, these poor fuckers, this is so brutal. They've just made one misstep, and
And
they're just
this is
being like
happening.
completely tormented. And then you find out at the end what their misstep was, and you're like, ah,
Yeah, good.
super messed up, like completely messed up. We were up
One of my
to see, I think we're nearly up to season 4, which I'm really excited for the more newer ones with all the stars in
yes.
too.
Yeah. Well, you know who's in Black Mirror season 6 in the very first episode?
Selma Hayek.
The chick from she's in it, but also the chick from fucking Schitt's Creek.
Oh, the sister, the skinny
I think
one.
it's a sister, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
She's very good
Okay.
in it. It's a
Yeah, I
good.
love her.
Some of the episodes are hit and miss, so aren't they? Some of them are just
Mm.
like fully invested. Some are just like,
Some of them are more of a slow burn, but generally by the time that it ends, you're like,
whoa.
whoa, what the
But my
fuck?
favorite, one of my favorite, there's a lot of favorites, but one of my ultimate favorites is the one with John Hamm and the Christmas one.
Oh, see, I would say that's probably, I think the ending was really good. But it was a really slow burn to the point I was actually going to text you because Tyler was totally not into it. It took us 3 goes to watch it all.
Wow.
And I said to him, because I knew I'd heard of this, that what's it called? The episode something snow or something?
It's
White
not
snow. I think it's white snow or something. And I'd heard it on like through, things I'd seen on the internet and whatever about it being one of the best episodes. And it's a Christmas
White
episode.
Christmas.
White Christmas. And it's a Christmas episode. And I was like, I have to push through. But at one point I was going to message you and be like, should we push through? Because it's really messed up and I don't really want to keep going.
Yeah.
And then we just ended up keeping watching it because I wanted to get to the next one. And that was full on. That was really fun. It's not my favorite.
Oh, I think after watching it, it's my favorite, and I've watched it again since, and only because I know what's happening that I would like it. It's like the sequel to Blair Witch 2. The whole beginning of it, it's just like, oh my God, rah rah rah, you've just got to push through and you keep pushing through, and it's just like dumb, it's confusing. And then at the end, when you see the ending of it, you're just like, that was the best thing ever. You know what I mean? Even though the whole movie's shit, just the ending of it was fantastic. The other thing I wanted to talk about, the other show, and I've spoken to you about it, but I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast. And I'm only mentioning it now because I've watched it twice now this season. The season, School Spirits.
Oh yeah, you told me about it. You said if I
It's
liked the
fucking
other ghosty
great.
one, I should watch it.
Oh, it's different to that. It's like, so it starts off with this girl walking through a high school, and she's like saying, "Hey Sky, hey rah rah." No one's paying attention to her. Then another ghost pops up and is like, "They're not going to see you, rah rah rah. You're dead, basically." And she doesn't know how she died, which was confusing to the other ghosts who were all trapped in the school vicinity. So, like ghosts in where you died, that's the land that you stay on. Because they all know how they died. And so it's sort of this who
Murder
done it,
mystery.
what's going on over, I think, 10 episodes of who killed her and why they killed her. And it's just done so well. It's just amazing. And it's one of those ones where even though it's set in a high school, again, there's none of that teeny bopper shit or anything like that. It's actually really good acting, very good storyline. As I said, I've watched it twice. I've Googled to see what's happening for season 2. And the announcement of School Spirits season 2 wasn't a huge surprise, as it quickly became one of Paramount Plus's most successful original series to date. It holds an audience score of 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which critics also give the series an approval rating of 83%, proving just how popular the show has become among casual
Wow.
and also within the industry. It may put a lot of pressure on the writers to keep this acclaimed streak going into season 2, but the future of the show definitely looks bright with those numbers. So watch it.
Okay.
So good. So good.
I'll add it to the list. I have so many shows that you make me watch.
I know.
And I watch them all. You never watch any of my
Oh,
recommendations,
I
by the way.
did. We started Americans. We watched about 3 episodes, but we just couldn't get into it. And there was something else that you made me watch.
Sex in the City, you took like
We
6 episodes of that, I think, and then you gave
yeah,
that one away.
yeah. It didn't age too well the earlier seasons of that. Early episodes, sorry of that. And then what about you, you stupid bitch? How was your week?
Good. I want to talk about a couple of things actually. So while we're talking about TV shows, I Link forced me to watch the latest season of Stranger Things. He's a
Mm.
massive Stranger Things fan, and
Have you not seen it?
no. So let me tell you.
Hang on,
So
just before you go into that again, I'm prepared to go back and rewatch the latest season. It was that good.
well, so how we actually got onto Stranger Things, it was just when we moved to the Central Coast, and everyone
Yeah.
was talking about it and raving about it. And one night I was sitting at Mel's and we decided to put it on with all the kids, and all the kids wanted to watch it, but it had been out for a little while and it was all hyped up and stuff. And so we started watching it and literally sat there. I think we might have put it on about 9 o'clock at night on a Friday night, and we sat there, and Jack, my cousin, for listeners, my cousin's one of her younger sons, was probably about 4 at the time, and he was like running around like basically passing out, like needing to go to bed, but we couldn't stop watching it, so we ended up
Wow.
just like sleeping on the couch, and we watched it
Oh.
till about 3 in the morning, and
Barb
we're
forever, right?
obsessed.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we couldn't stop it. And then after that, because it's like teenagey for me, Link's always forced me to watch it. And once I've watched it, I've been like, that was really good. I'm so glad I watched it. So the new season came out and I was jonesing to watch it because of the Kate Bush song.
So you'd seen the season 1, 2, and 3?
Oh yeah, I've seen them probably within 6 to 12 months of them coming out. I don't see them when they first come out.
Yeah.
So I hadn't seen the most recent one, and then I came home the other night after work drinks, and Tyler was out for something until quite late. And so Link was like, let's watch Stranger Things. I was like, yeah, sweet. So we stayed up until 3 a.m. watching the new season. He fell asleep on me, Link, who stays awake till 5 a.m. I kept saying, one more episode. So now I'm up to the movie length finale. And so we watched it a second night, and then we watched it till the early hours of the morning, and I had to work the next day. And he was like, Mum, I was like, please, let's watch the last one. It was like 11:45. And he's like, Mum, if we watch this, we're not going to sleep until nearly 3 a.m. We can't do it. Go to fucking bed. I was like, fuck you. I'll just watch Gilmore's then.
I do what I want.
Anyway, so we didn't watch it. So I haven't seen the finale.
Cool.
The 2.5 hour episode, but I am hanging. It's just about getting the right time when Link and I are both together.
Yeah. And you want to pay the attention to it.
Yeah. So that was about 2 weeks ago. We started watching it together. So I'm super stoked that I watched it because it is very good. It has some cringy moments, and Link and I look at each other and we're like, ugh. But overall, it's very cool, I have to say, even for the teeny bopper references and the youth of it. But the other thing, just quickly, we started watching.
Hang on, before you go on to that. So with Stranger Things, when season 4 came out, and there was, as you know, all that hype about it, that's what made us do the
Netflix like switched off and stuff, didn't it? Because everyone was watching the season finale. Or maybe it was when they took the break in the middle when what's his name ends up going into the upside down. What's his name? The good looking one.
The one with the long hair?
Steve, yeah. So Steve dives into the lake, and he ends up in the upside down, and then that's where the season, like they did the mid-season break, and everyone was outraged, like fuck you. And then I think when it came back, Netflix broke from all the streaming,
from everyone watching it.
Yeah, wow. And it was offline for people couldn't watch it for like an hour or something.
It was because of that as well that we did it inspired us to do the Kate Bush and Handmaid's Tale episode. But when all this hype had come out, and especially the Kate Bush song Running Up That Hill, I thought, right, I'm going to watch it. But I made myself watch it from the very beginning. So from season 1, because I'd only ever watched, I think I watched all of season 2 before that, and maybe a first episode of season 3, but I completely then stopped, and I had no idea really what was going on. So I persevered and started from the beginning and watched it all again, and then continued on with season 4, and I was just like, fuck me, I cannot wait for season 5.
Yeah, look, it's been pretty good. But the other thing that we're watching now is Shrinking. Have you heard of that? So that's the new Jason Segel one. It's on Apple, and it had a promo on, so you got the first episode free, and we didn't realize because our Apple had expired. So we watched the first episode, literally crying with laughter, wetting ourselves laughing. It's got Harrison Ford in it. It's made by the guy who did Scrubs, who did Cougar Town. The chick who's in Scrubs and Cougar Town's in it. It's some of the guys that wrote the Ted Lasso are involved in the writing. Jason Segel's involved in the writing. Funny as fuck. Really, really good. It's about a guy whose wife dies in a car accident. He's got a teenage daughter, and he just completely goes off the rails. And like how he sort of tries to pick himself up, but in a very humorous way. Like the first episode starts and his neighbor climbs over the fence because he's in the spa. His teenage daughter's been sleeping at her place because he has like no structure at all, and he's like snorting lines and got all these like prostitutes in a spa, and she's like what the fuck? And it's like 4 a.m, and he's got this music blaring, and she's like, what the fuck? And Jason Segel's the guy whose wife dies, and he's just the best. I just love him. So that's really cool if you're looking for a really good show. But the other thing I wanted to mention about Housey Week is that Linky Lou has finally got his license.
Congratulations, Link.
So he's my little baby Uber driver who drives us everywhere and picks us up from everywhere when we're super drunk, which is amazing.
Has that started, has it?
Yes. So look, we went out to Redland Bay last weekend and he dropped us out there and then rang me at about 7 o'clock and we didn't get home until fucking 4 in the morning anyway. But was like, Mum, what time are you coming home? Because I want to have a drink myself. Like, you know, are you coming in the next 20 minutes and I'll come get you? Otherwise, I'm going to have a drink. And I was like, dude, of course. If you're going to, hang out with your mates and have a drink, we can't expect you to just wait around and stop your life because we need a fucking free Uber.
Yeah. This is her
But
18-year-old son, by the way, everybody.
the rest of the time, he's totally just dropped us all over. We've saved so much money in Ubers. It's amazing.
Brady got his license, my nephew as well.
I saw. Yes.
Well,
yes.
I didn't see. I found out through other people.
But the other thing while I'm talking about my son is that something interesting happened this week. So Link's not the most self-sufficient human, right? Because he is a teenage boy. Like, they're not great at life skills because their mums usually do everything fucking for them. So Tyler brought home a quarter of watermelon. And Link loves his fruit. He always eats loads and loads of fruit. So I come home and Tyler had brought this watermelon. He'd said to Link, I'll chop it up for you today if you want some. He's like, no, I don't want some, blah, blah, blah. So Tyler went to work, hoping that he would have some of that watermelon when he got home and maybe potentially take it to work the next day. So I come home from work and Link was like, hey, Mum, geez, that watermelon was good. And I was like, oh, was it? I said, did you eat it all? He said, yeah. I ate the whole thing. And I said, well, like, what did you do with it? Because it was a massive chunk of watermelon. He's like, it's on the kitchen bench.
He just ate from the fucking thing.
He just ate from the thing. And like, so he took the guts out of it, but there's probably still half a watermelon left against the rind that if it actually sliced it out and chopped it up like a normal person would,
it would have been ample.
It would have been twice as much. And then he's left it in the sun on the window, like on the kitchen bench, to just sit there and rot in the sun. And I'm just like, dude, like
there's a bin right there.
Not only have you wasted it, but you know how you can't really put watermelon in the bin because it's so stinky. Like if you put it and it's so juicy, do you know what I mean? Like you're not going to put it in the bin and just leave it. You're going to chuck it and put it in the outside bin. Do you know what I mean?
Or leave it on the windowsill.
And I was just, well, it wasn't on the windowsill, but it was on that spot where the sun just shines right in. So there's like this, half-eaten watermelon just like with fumes coming off it almost. And I'm just like, poor Tyler got none. So I messaged Tyler, I was like, babe, I'm really sorry, but that watermelon's gone.
He might need to pick up another one.
Thing? I was like, no, he didn't really eat the whole thing. He just scooped as much as he could. And then I look around.
Technically, no.
And so I look around the kitchen and there's all these drops of watermelon juice and little bits of seeds like all over the kitchen benches. It's on the fucking kitchen chairs. Where
and that behavior for boys lasts until about 25.
I was just like, whatever. I'll just take the bins out and take the watermelon, put it in a different bin, and then just chuck it in the bin, please. For fuck's sake, seriously. He can drive a car, but he can't cut up a watermelon.
He can't. Okay? He carried a watermelon, but he can't cut it up. All right.
Let's get into the topics, please.
All right. So I'm first, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
So this is an old faithful, and
you lost the rock paper scissors contest
last episode.
Mm-hmm.
This is an old faithful, and it was one of the first urban legends I remember hearing as a child, and it freaked me the fuck out. So I thought it was only right to cover it in this episode. The licked hand.
Well, can I just quickly say something? Because before you go into it, I actually had picked this, not realizing that Bino had already picked it and then had researched a small amount of it. But I had never heard of it. When I found it, no. So when I found it in my research, I had never heard of it. So it's crazy that you've heard of it.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is one of the ones that, so this one and the hook on the top of the car.
Yes, I know the
and the
hook
person
one.
in the back of the car.
Yes, I know that one too.
They're the three that
and the babysitter.
Always know.
Check the children.
Oh yeah, that's the movie.
Yeah. But that's an urban legend too, like
children.
But yeah, I was like, I'd never heard of it. So it's interesting that you have heard of it. So please continue.
Yeah. I loved this one. This is one of the ones I'd always tell when we'd tell the ghost stories.
So this is a creepy as fuck one.
So the licked hand is a well-known urban legend that had been circulating for quite some time. It's a spooky story that has variations and different versions, but the core narrative goes something a little like this. One night, not that long ago, a night quite like this one, in fact, and in a town very similar to the town that you're currently listening to this story in.
In Bergdale?
Wherever you are, there lived a young woman who was home alone with her loyal dog. Her parents had gone out for the evening.
Ruff,
Woof. Leaving her responsible for taking care of the house and herself. As night fell, she decided to watch some TV before heading to bed. As she sat down on the couch, her faithful dog curled up at her feet. The TV show she was watching was interrupted by a news bulletin that announced an escaped criminal with a history of violence was in the area. The police advised everyone to lock their doors and windows and stay alert. Feeling a bit uneasy after hearing the news, the young woman made sure all the doors and windows were locked. She felt comforted knowing her dog was by her side. Shortly after, she starts falling asleep on the couch. Or as I say, bitch was getting the dropsies. She walks with her dog to the bedroom, knowing that her dog will look after her, and she checks again that the house was secure. Laying in bed, the news report runs through her head again. She shivers, but she settles herself as the dog climbs under her bed, as he always does. She puts her hand down the side of the bed, and her faithful friend reassuringly licks her palm. Again, as he always does. Comforted by this, she eventually drifts off to sleep. After about an hour, the girl suddenly wakes to the sound of drip, drip, drip.
Drip, drip.
She goes to get up and have a look, but then remembers the news story and freaks herself out. She sticks a hand under the bed. Her pooch gives her the same reassuring lick and eases her mind, and she drifts back off to sleep. Shortly after, she wanks. And then she falls asleep again. Shortly after, she awakes again to the noise. Drip, drip, drip. Frustrated, she stumbles through the house, half awake, and makes her way to the kitchen. She tightens all the faucets that she finds and then stumbles back to bed. She gets back under the blankets and sticks her hand towards the floor and under the bed, where her dog gently licks her palm. Feeling safe, she nods back off to sleep. Another hour or so passes and she wakes again to the drip, drip, drip. She's still spooked from the news report and is feeling hesitant, but she also feels responsible for the house. So she gets up and she goes to the bathroom. She groggily walks in and flips on the light. She immediately screams as the sight that confronts her is horrific. Hanging from the shower nozzle with its throat slit is her dog. Blood slowly draining from the wound. Big droplets falling and hitting the shower floor. Drip, drip, drip.
The poor doggy.
But the worst was yet to come. Screaming, the girl backs into the wall behind her and collapses, sobbing for the loss of her best friend and terrified by the unimaginable crime. Through tears, she scans and assesses the rest of the room. She stands up and turns around, and there, on the bathroom wall, written in big letters with the dog's blood, were the words, "Humans can lick too."
So fucked up.
Isn't that gross? Drip, drip.
That's so
drip.
disgusting, but I just felt really bad for the dog. Who kills dogs, man?
know.
It's fucked up.
In the one I'd read, I remember saying too, he was tied up by his tail to the thing, but I don't know if you could actually do that, so I left that out. So,
Gross.
just a couple of quick fun facts about this. So this, as I said, it's an old urban legend. It's a forerunner in the 1919 story, The Diary of Mr. Pointer, by M.R. James, where a young man absently strokes his dog, as he thinks, while reading an old manuscript account of the sinister death of a young student obsessed with his own hair. Of course, the creature crouching at his side is not his dog. It's obviously the student that is rubbing. The
Gross.
legend was told around a fire in the movie Death Screams, which is from 1982. Have you heard of Death Screams?
Mm-mm.
Neither had I. So I looked it up and I'm keen to watch it. So it's free on
Of course
YouTube.
you are. Of course you fucking
It's I found that you can watch it on YouTube or you can pay for it to
what the
rent on Apple
psychologists say?
TV.
What did they say that all the shows that you watch
The trauma recounts to the trauma
in your
in my
life, and you
life.
can't handle your day-to-day life, so you need to watch trauma.
It makes me feel at home. So the synopsis of Dream Screams, Death Screams, sorry, is late one night, a young couple are brutally murdered at a makeout spot by an unseen assailant. So 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their bodies tossed into the nearby river as the lifeless lovers drift slowly downstream. The residents of the town excitedly prepare themselves for the annual carnival, unaware that a machete-wielding maniac with a twisted grudge is lurking in their midst. When a group of teen revelers planned a late-night after-party down in the local cemetery, they unwittingly set the stage for a bloodbath. And I cannot wait to see what happens.
Sounds like Creep Show. We forgot to mention the whole reason that this topic for pop culture was
Hang on.
inspired.
We might be getting to that.
Oh, okay.
So it's also, there's a variation of the story is featured in the film Urban Legends Final Cut.
The 1999 film?
Yeah. Well, this is a version of this is featured in the sequel, The Final Cut. And also it's used by Bloody Mary in the follow-up to Urban Legends Final Cut, Urban Legends Bloody Mary, which I haven't seen either of those movies.
I still need to see the first one. I was telling Lols about it on the weekend. Actually,
oh yeah,
I was
it's on
telling
Stan.
her that we have to watch it together, and that you had recommended it. And I was like, I've seen it before, and it's great. But she hated I Know What You Did Last Summer, so we'll see.
Oh, and the acting is probably just as good as that, but it's still terribly bad. Yeah. It's when you get to the age that we're at now where you can appreciate some movie that is so bad you just love it for the badness of it, like Showgirls.
Like Cruel Intentions too, really.
And Cruel Intentions, yeah. It's terrible, but that's why you love it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, what's your first one, you dumb bitch?
Okay, my first one. This is super gross too. Okay. So this one's about I'm not going to say it's called Rat King, okay?
Oh.
So Rat King is not the name of a cute little rodent reigning over his loyal subjects.
With a throne and a crown?
I know. It sounds cute though, doesn't it? But it's not cute at all. But is the name for a phenomenon where rats become tangled together to form a giant spider rat.
Oh my God.
People actually believe this exists for reals, and I'm going to get to that. There's videos that I just could not simply bring myself to watch.
Oh, did you not watch any of the videos of this real shit?
No, it's too gross. I actually am cringing right now as I'm talking through it, which is why I had to do it. Basically, it occurs by a group of rats intertwining their tails together and then getting kind of stuck, or maybe they like it better as a big, giant, gross, ratty mess and choose to stay way.
It's like a Voltron rat. Form arms and legs.
I didn't watch the videos, but I looked at some images and I actually nearly vomited. Then I consulted the Guinness Book of Records. Let me enlighten you. A rat king, or Roi de Rats in French.
It's so funny you just said that because I've Googled it. And I clicked on videos.
Don't Google anymore. Just wait.
A rat king or Roi de Rats.
In French is a collection of rats whose tails are intertwined and bound together. It typically occurs. Stop looking. You're supposed to let me talk about it before you look at the images.
I'm erring at you saying that tails.
It typically occurs when young rats sleeping together in close quarters get their tails entangled, forming a knot. The tied tails are prone to being encrusted by dirt or stuck together with substances such as sap, blood, food, feces, urine. Shit. So when the rats wake up and attempt to scurry away from each other, the knot then tightens, trapping them together.
Oh my God.
Unable to feed themselves, the rats eventually die.
Oh.
A number of examples.
Move as one?
Well, it depends who you ask, really.
Yeah, because one's like, I'm going this way. No, I'm going that way.
Well, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed, are
No,
they?
they're not.
So that's why they go different directions. They make it tighter and tighter and tighter, and then they're like, I want to eat this. I want to eat this. No, 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 no.
Yeah. Well, look, that is the same as when our cats get a claw caught in the bedding and you go to help them and they just start pulling it in the other direction and screaming at you. So, yeah, I could imagine the rats doing the same.
Stripey just breaks that shit. He don't care. A number of examples have been documented throughout history, mostly from Europe, with the earliest report coming from the 16th century.
I'm picturing fucking, yeah, bubonic plague. It would have been this massive fucking virus running down the street.
But you have to post photos on the socials, man, because it's
Oh,
so
trust
fucked up.
me.
The largest rat king on record was found in May 1828 in a chimney in the German town of
Oh,
Altenburg. It consisted of 32 individual rats.
oh my God.
There's a super gross picture if you want to look it up. That's in my notes. I knew you'd want to. The discovery was made when a miller named Steinbruch had the walls of his chimney torn down, whereupon he found a mummified rat king under the rubble. The
Oh,
rats were hairless and
now they're
blackened with
mummies
soot.
as well.
Yeah, it's so fucked up. The rats were hairless and blackened with soot, though their claws remained sharp. Steinbruch gave the record-breaking Rat King to the Altenburg Natural Resource Society, who put it in a glass case and presented it to the public. The Altenburg Rat King was comprised of black rats, ratus, aka house rats or roof rats. Most surviving.
What about the root rats?
Ew. Most surviving specimens of rat kings are formed by black rats, actually, please.
Oh,
The reason for this, according to some theories, is that black rats, known to be particularly skilled climbers, they have prehensile tails like monkeys, which
yeah.
instinctively make a grasping
Grip.
reflex when they touch something.
Oh.
Rats are gross.
Oh.
When combined into a small space, such as between the upper floorboards of a house, the rats' tails clutch at each other and become intertwined. As the rats continue to crawl over each other before eventually falling
And then
asleep.
a third tail gets in there and really fucks shit up.
Well, this one had 32, man.
Jesus Christ.
Allegedly.
Monogamy, people.
So as the rats continue to crawl over each other before eventually falling asleep, the ensuing knot becomes irreversibly hardened by the aforementioned cocktail of sticky substances and other
Oh,
materials.
please don't use the word cocktail in that.
Clay, hay, and dirt. Credence is lent to this theory by the fact that most rat kings have been found during winter in confined spaces.
Yeah.
Most recent examples of rat kings include one found in New Zealand in 1930, now displayed in, is it Dunedin's? Dunedin's Otago Museum, comprised of 8 immature black rats entangled by horsehair.
Horsehair. And you'd have to think, if they've got fucking the sharp nails too, they'd be scratching at each other, so the blood and a dead corpse of a rat would stiffen the fucking meld even more.
It's so fucked up.
Yeah.
So this
Imagine if it happened to cats.
Apparently it also happens to squirrels, but I don't want to
Oh
go there.
God.
So this particular one that was found in the 1930s in New Zealand, their tails showed signs of broken vertebrae, suggesting they had tried to forcefully free themselves of their predicament.
Well, I'm sure they weren't fucking like, hey, this is okay.
I know.
Chill out and have a barbecue.
Like, I read a few things about, like, apparently they're like prominent in like New York subways and stuff, and people are like, yeah, there's totally rat kings everywhere down here. They love it.
Vinny would love it as a rat. He'd be like, no, come here.
Let me hook you forever.
Yeah, totally.
A rat king discovered in 1963 by a farmer in the Netherlands consisted of 7 rats, according to a report published by a cryptozoologist, M. Schneider. X-ray images taken after the rats were killed showed callus formations at the fractures of their tails, suggesting that they had survived for an extended period of time as a rat king.
So walking around together.
There you go. Just being one big human.
Yeah.
One big gross rat thing.
Which would be okay if their minds all worked as one, but it doesn't.
It
So that would
doesn't.
just be like this constant struggle.
So in 2005, a 16-strong rat king was found by an Estonian farmer. Eurovision Plus, we love you, Estonia.
Me too.
Some of the rats were dead, though many were still alive.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they were all euthanized as they could not be freed.
And do you know how they would have euthanized them? With a hammer.
Well, it says
I don't think they gave him a nice injection or put him in the freezer.
It says here 13 were preserved and they are now part of the collection of the University of Tartu Natural History Museum. So if they did hammer them, they wouldn't have been able to preserve them. Okay?
Well, they've definitely just chucked them in a freezer or something.
I think probably that would be the quickest way to do it, right? Although some zoologists remain skeptical about the existence of naturally occurring rat kings, instead choosing to believe that past cases are man-made hoaxes, there is now also undeniable proof of the existence of squirrel kings, proving the phenomenon occurs amongst other rodents too.
Jesus
allegedly.
Christ.
But there's lots of people who say it's all bullshit.
I'm just picturing like this giant ball of rats coming rolling towards me and shit.
Nobody's going to survive that, right? You're fucked.
Get out of the way. Get to higher ground.
That's maybe how the apocalypse starts.
A little ball that just keeps getting
Thousands of
bigger.
rat kings just coming for everyone. Feed us!
No, go this way. You just confuse one of them. Throw a block of cheese that way.
I don't know if they're hungry enough. They don't give a shit, mate. They just want to eat ya. Eat ya, eat ya, eat ya.
Fucking hell, that's disgusting.
I know. It's fucked up, right? Okay, that's my rat king thing. It's your turn.
All right, so I'm doing Teke Teke, the Japanese lady.
Never heard of a plus. But is it what The Grudge is based on?
Sort of. Not The Grudge. I think maybe The Ring somewhat.
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
Teke Teke is a Japanese urban legend centered around a ghostly apparition of a young woman. According to the legend, the woman was either killed by a train accident or committed suicide by falling onto train tracks, resulting in her body being severed in half.
There's lots of train tracks in the urban legends that I researched before finalizing on my 3, I've got to say. Train tracks feature very heavily in urban legends.
I thought you were going to say there's a lot of train tracks in Japan. Yes, there are.
I've been to Japan, so I can't say that confidently, but sure.
She is said to haunt train stations, especially at night. Testimonies of encounters with Teke Teke describe hearing a distinct Teke Teke sound as she moves. Witnesses claim to see a ghostly woman dragging her upper body along the ground, her torso propelling itself forward using her arms or elbows. The story serves as a cautionary tale to warn children to staying out late near train tracks. Should you encounter a Teke Teke, run.
I was going to say, what? Feed it?
Throw it a bone?
Pat its hair?
Chuck a rat king at it? If the malicious spirit catches you, she will slice you in half with the scythe. Although she lacks
legs.
Where'd
she get the scythe?
Oh, she's had that ever since she lost her legs.
The train.
Although she lacks legs.
Train accident.
She's extremely fast.
Oh, I bet she is on those arms.
And has been known to keep up with cars. In some renditions of the story, she will ask you where her legs are, in which case you must reply, Mission Expressway, in order to survive.
Mission Expressway. I thought you were trying to say that in like a Japanese accent then.
Mission Expressway. In less hopeful iterations, your only chance of survival is to outrun her, which is completely impossible.
Ooh, I can't run very fast anyway. So.
We'd both be fucked, bitch. I'll just push you down towards Teke Teke and keep going. Take her! I have 2 cats at
He's
home.
slower anyway. I gotta get back to my cats.
Sorry, bitch, but you know you're gone first. So Teke Teke is known to chase its victim down dark roads, and the sound of her drag as she drags herself on her hands and elbows. Teke Teke, Teke Teke, Teke Teke. I thought it would be more like a
or more like a flip, 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 flip of the hands going
exactly
really
that.
fast.
So as we know, she can keep up with this car. As we know, she can keep up with victims who are speeding away in cars. So bitch be like ticka 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 at that stage though,
In
right?
a plane.
When it catches them, something terrible happens.
Oh, what happened?
The legends, however, are not always clear with what actually happened.
Sure.
In some variations of the story, Teke Teke carries her scythe and slices her victims at half at the waist and steals their legs. She'd be like, bitch,
That's believable.
give me them legs.
Yeah. Yeah, she wants her legs.
I want the legs. I can't feel my legs. Like with most urban legends, there are so many versions of the Teke Teke story that it's impossible to know what the original story was or where it began. Every locality has its own version with different details. In some stories, the Teke Teke was a victim of a tragic accident. In others, it was suicide. In some, it was also she was gang raped by a group of people and then thrown on the tracks.
Ooh.
In some stories, certain magic charms can protect you from its wrath. In others, nothing can protect you and you will certainly die.
You fucked.
In some versions, the Teke Teke victims become Teke Teke themselves.
Oh, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. This is freaking me out.
Teke Teke.
I got shivers.
There are a number of threads in common between many of the variations, and the most common ones point towards a woman from Hokkaido named Kashima Raiko. In the years after World War II, an office worker in Muraran, Hokkaido, was assaulted and raped by American military personnel. That night, she leaped off the bridge onto the railroad tracks and was hit by an oncoming train. The impact was so forceful that her body was torn in half at the waist. The severe cold of the Hokkaido night caused her blood vessels to contract and prevented her from bleeding out quickly. Instead, she squirmed and wriggled about for several minutes, seeking help. She crawled all the way to a train station and was seen by an attendant. Instead of trying to help her, the station attendant just covered her with a plastic tarp, and she died a slow and agonizing death. According to the legend, 3 days after hearing this story, you will see the ghost of a woman with no lower half. The ghost is that of the woman hit by the train. Teke Teke. Teke Teke.
Fuck you.
Teke Teke. When you see her, the ghost will try to catch you, and escape is impossible, even in a car. The ghost can crawl at speeds of up to 150 kilometers per hour. Some would say that the ghost is searching for her legs, which were lost when she was cut in half. Some would say.
I drive faster than 150 k's an hour anyway, so.
Babbage. Whilst others would say that she is angry at humanity for not helping her when she was dying,
Fucking oath
and that she is simply out to slaughter as many people as she can. When she catches you, she will tear you in half and steal the lower half of your body. Shortly after hearing the legend, she will ask you a riddle, either in a dream or in a mysterious phone call. The only way to escape death is to answer her questions exactly the right way. And I'm
Dear David, please. Dear David.
She will ask you, do you need your legs? And you must reply, I need them right now. Then she will ask you, who told you my story? And you must reply, Kashima Raiko. Ka is in mask, she as in death, Ma is in demon, Rai as in ghost, and Ko as in accident. If you answer her riddles without mistake, she may just let you live.
You said before that there's no way that you can survive.
That's one version of it. So there's different versions. Some she'll ask you where her legs are, in which place you must reply Mission Expressway. And then in less hopeful iterations, your only chance is to outrun her, which is completely impossible.
Not one the way I drive in the Suzuki.
No. Bye, bitch. I'm out of here.
See, come on. Come in, mama.
You want to go, bitch? You want to fucking go? All right, what's your next one?
Okay, so my next one is the Blackeyed Children, or Black-Eyed Kids, if you will. An American. Hold on, I'm just gonna. What's happening with my notes? Where's my bit? There it is. Sorry, the Black-Eyed Children, or Black-Eyed Kids in American contemporary legend, are paranormal creatures that resemble children between ages 6 and 16 with pale skin and black eyes, who are reportedly seen hitchhiking or begging, or are encountered on doorstops of residential homes.
Ooh.
While media coverage of these creatures has claimed that tales of black-eyed children have existed since the 1980s, most sources indicate that the legend originated from 1996, postings written by Texas reporter Brian Bethel on a ghost-related mailing list alleging 2 encounters with black-eyed kids. Bethel describes encountering 2 such children in Abilene, Texas in 1996 and claims... Abilene! And claims that a second person had a similar unrelated encounter in Portland, Oregon. Bethel's stories have become regarded as classic examples of urban legend and gained such popularity that he published an FAQ just to keep up with demand for more info in 2012. He told his story on reality TV series Monsters and Mysteries in America. He also wrote a follow-up article for the Abilene Reporter News describing his experience and maintaining his belief that it was legitimate. Sounds very, very similar to how Dear David came about, don't you think? In 2020...
I thought you might have done Dear David in this. Have you done Dear David in
Yeah, we've done Dear David. We did it in, I think, Pop Culture.
Yeah.
Ghost Stories. We did in Ghost Stories.
Right.
The film's out now, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. In 2012, the horror film Black-Eyed Kids was produced with Kickstarter funding. Its director commented that the creepy children were an urban legend that's been floating around on the internet for years now, and I always thought it was fascinating. A 2003 episode of MSN's Weekly Strange featured reports of black-eyed children is thought to have helped spread the legend on the internet. During 1 week in September 2014, the British tabloid Daily Star ran 3 sensationalistic front-page stories about alleged sightings of black-eyed children connected to the sale of a supposedly haunted pub in Staffordshire. The paper claimed a shock rise in sightings around the world. I think it had something to do with the film, don't you?
Yeah.
Alleged sightings are taken seriously by ghost hunters, some of whom believe black-eyed children to be extraterrestrials, vampires, or ghosts.
Oh, that sounds very much like Hotel, American Horror Story Hotel.
And then I put here lol, it's obviously because the movie came out, please. Science writer Sharon A. Hill was unable to find any documentation of black-eyed child encounters, concluding that the tales are passed on as a friend of a friend ghost stories. Hill considers the legend to resemble typical spooky folklore stories such as the Phantom Black Dog.
Humans can lick too.
Where the subject is not supernatural, and there may never have been an actual original encounter, relating tales of black-eyed children as a legend, and cites an Inquisitor article that advised readers to file black-eyed children under the same heading as Bigfoot.
Oh, yes, and Loch Ness.
Believe it if you like, but realize there is no evidence of this existence, just subjective testimony that ranges from reasonable to suspiciously fame whoring.
Okay, Dana Scully, way to fucking ruin the mood. Not you, the
so
one
watch
that
out
wrote
for the
that.
black-eyed children that appear on your doorstep, please.
Every time you kept saying black-eyed, I was waiting for peas to come out. I was going to say,
but it was also actually the fact that you said Dana Scully was featured in an episode of The X-Files.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, totes. Fuck, I love that show.
Yeah, I need to get back into that actually.
It's
All
worth the
right.
journey. The ending's fucked up though.
Have you seen the 2 movies?
I've seen the first movie. I refuse to watch the second or the remake of the X-Files based on how the original series finished, because the second movie's after. The first movie's during the show.
Yeah.
The second movie's after the original series finished, and I was so outraged by the ending of the original series that
Oh,
I refused to go any further because it was just fucked.
maybe they might sort of tie up some ends in the last movie. In the movie in the.
Don't care. It wasn't a cliffhanger. It was the way it all ended that fucked me off. Because remember, David Duchovny became a massive hit. He was in movies, and they brought in other like
Oh yes,
characters.
that's right.
And I
Yeah,
loved
yeah.
those other characters. I hated when they came in, but I actually grew to love them. They have brutal endings that were just not fair. And then David Duchovny comes back in for like a final episode, and it's completely fucked. It's
Annoying.
just nothing. It was like
It's like the Roseanne
drama. It was like
final.
drama shit. It was like not what the show was about in any way.
Yeah.
It was fucked. I hate it. And
It was like the final season of Roseanne that completely ruined the whole show.
well, I recommend
And
not
then she
watching the
ruined
final
everything.
episode of the series because it's just a huge disappointment, like Medium was. And I'm still not over that, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that in the podcast. Did you ever watch Millennium?
Yes, that was a spin-off of
Yeah.
because
I
he
was
was in
obsessed with
one
that.
episode. Yes, I was too at the time because his wife died and he ended up with the kid. And
Yeah.
she died because of the supernatural, I think.
Yeah.
And he could see things, or he was a mind reader or
Something to do
something.
with it. And it was something to do with the lead up to the year 2000.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And it was the guy
I
from
loved it too.
Aliens. Yeah.
It didn't
Linda and I
start, it
fucking
didn't
loved it.
last for long. It lasted for like 2 seasons, I
I
think.
think it was 2 seasons. Belinda Bay Desert. I know you're listening. You remember that series. We loved it. All right. So my last one is I said, hi, Patrick. It's me, Walter, in the
Oh, I'm
heading.
super intrigued by
But
this.
it's actually, hi, Walter. It's me, Patrick. So you haven't heard of it?
Not even a little bit.
If not, listen to my story and check the videos on YouTube immediately
I'm listening, okay?
afterwards.
I'm listening.
That goes for you too, dear listeners. I will be watching the video after we finish this episode.
Oh, God, I don't want to be more scared than I already am. I just said to Tyler, you're going to be fucking so messed up with the Urban Legends episode.
In 2009, a channel was created on YouTube simply called Hi, Walter. It's me, Patrick, which only contained one video titled, Hi, Walter. I got a new girlfriend today, but they say GF. In the video, a man, assumedly named Patrick, though he never states his name on camera, opens by telling someone named Walter that he's found himself a girlfriend. He excitedly talks with a wild-eyed expression about how he met this girl at the mall and that she's very hot and attractive. He then says he wants to show her on camera, even though she's very shy, and the camera cuts to what looks like a dark basement with a wooden door that's padlocked shut. The man steps into view, unlocks the door, and a woman can be seen inside on all fours, sobbing and begging to be let go. The man steps into the room with her.
You are fucked up, seriously. What the fuck?
The man steps into the room with her, and after the door closes behind him, we can hear her screaming before the video abruptly ends. The channel has since been taken down, but the videos have, of course, been re-uploaded and is very easy to find on YouTube.
You're insane if you think I'm going to watch that video with you. There's no way in the world I'm watching that video.
For a long time, the video went relatively unnoticed, but began to really go viral around 2016, when the mother of a missing teen saw the footage and became convinced that her daughter was the imprisoned woman shown at the end of the video. Up until this point, those
Is this
already...
in America?
Yeah. Up until this point, those already aware of the video, particularly the Reddit community, had been busily dissecting it, many coming to the conclusion that it was fake. Aside from the cheesy acting from Patrick, those skeptical of the video pointed out things like the fact at the beginning of the basement scene, it sounds like the man says something along the lines of action, furthering the suspicion that this was a hoax. But to one viewer, Hope Sprenger, the video looked all too real and potentially offered answers as to what happened to her missing daughter, Kayla Berg. In 2009, only a few months before the channel's creation, 15-year-old Kayla Berg went missing after being dropped off at her boyfriend's house in Wisconsin. In 2016, when the possibility arose that the girl in Patrick's video might be Kayla, the Wisconsin police were alerted and began immediately investigating the video's origins as well as the people behind it. They admitted that there were similarities between the missing girl and the girl in the video, causing valid concern that this was not a hoax after all. However, it all turned out to be a false alarm when Antigua police were able to identify the creators of the video. Leading the video and playing the role of Patrick was a man by the name of Michael Mayton from Utica, New York. As for the actress, the imprisoned girl was a woman by the name of Lucy Cavo, and the producer of the video was a man named Jason Durr. All three of the people behind the video from New York and had nothing to do with the missing teen from Wisconsin. According to them, the video wasn't even intended to reference her case. Once this information was established, Antigua police issued a statement ensuring that the public that the video was nothing more than a hoax. But by that point, the damage was done. Hope Spregner was said to be traumatized when she saw the video and believed she was seeing her daughter being held captive by Mayton, and this led to the creators issuing an apology for the harm they caused. However, Mayton went on to blame the media for misconstruing what was meant to be a short YouTube horror film that had nothing to do with Kayla Berg's disappearance and even called it slander. As troubling as the situation was, this is not the only time a YouTube creator has led the public to believing they'd done something had something to do with the missing persons case. In 2012, a video was uploaded of a middle-aged man laughing sadistically into a camera, winking, and the words "Happy Anniversary" appeared on the screen. The video itself was also titled Happy Anniversary and was posted 8 years to the day that a young woman by the name of Maura Murray went missing after crashing her car on Route 112 in Massachusetts. The uploader himself had named the channel Mr. 112 Dirtbag, which references not only Route 112, but also Murray's father's claims that whoever had abducted her daughter was a dirtbag. To this day, the disappearances of Kayla Byrne and Maura Murray remain unsolved. And you were totally watching that video with me after this.
No way. I'm not watching it. That's fucked up. Who does that though? Like, come on. This is where the internet goes crazy, right? And it's just takes it beyond a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
they make it a bit too gross.
That's fucked. Oh, thank God my last one's a little bit light.
You've got a light urban legend?
I do have a light urban legend, and I actually really find this really cute and lovely. I really like it.
Are you sure it's not a fairy tale?
It's called The Baby Train, please. Baby Train, or simply Baby Train.
Choo-choo. Or do they go cuckoo, cuckoo?
Is an urban legend told in the United States, United Kingdom, and Australia.
Awesome.
The legend first appeared in Christopher Morley's 1939 novel Kitty Foyle. According to the legend, Kitty. Did you see that Prue and True thing I sent you?
Yeah. I'm tired. I'm just tired.
I'm just so tired. How you doing, Prue? I'm just tired. Fucking love that. We'll watch that after this. According to the legend, a certain small town had an unusually high birth rate. This was allegedly caused by a freight train passing through the town and blowing its whistle, waking up all the residents. Since it was too late to go back to sleep and too early to get up, couples would have sex. This resulted in a mini baby boom.
Really?
One version of the myth, as written down by the Australian author and folklorist Bill Scott in A Long and Short and Tall, a collection of Australian yarns, tells the story of a little town on the coast, not too far north of Sydney, please, where I'm thinking Newcastle.
Yeah.
There's a train that goes through there, where the birth rate was 3 times the average for all the rest of Australia. Wow. This was so unusual, the government sent someone out to the town to investigate the cause for the high birth rate.
Oh, Jesus.
When the official
arrived... Why
are
you all having sex so much?
When the official arrived, he found children everywhere he looked. Even the local school had these temporary classrooms all over the place to fit them in, and they had a special maternity wing at the hospital. The man was mystified for a while. The people there did not seem different from people in other small towns, so he couldn't understand why they got 3 times as many children.
The devil
After
was in them. They were rooting too much.
After a few nights in the town, the man figured it out. This particular town was right by the main railway line. The train was delivering mail right past the town and thus blew its whistle when it stopped. Since it was too early to get up and it was too late to go back to sleep again, the adults had to find something to do in bed while waiting. This
I wouldn't
then
say it
led
was too early to get up. I'd say since they were already up. Bing.
This then led to the very high birth rates. Other versions of the myth vary to different degrees. Sometimes the small town is in America or England, and one version tells of a noisy foghorn rather than a train whistle.
So it's the same sort of build anyway. You're like, it's the same reasoning behind it.
Yeah,
People
it
were
could just
awake.
be like a town of people who are really fucking frisky, basically saying that, something disturbs them.
They wake up.
I'll elaborate as I go through. The
They bump
stories
uglies.
The story is related to the rumor that birth rates spike 9 months after. The story is related to the rumor that birth rates spiked 9 months after the Northeast blackout of 1965. The actual birth rate increased in Boston after February 1969.
Dinner
And
for
other
two.
natural disasters and similar events. It's based on the premise that when regular life is disrupted, hang on.
People fornicate.
I can't even. It's based on the premise that when regular life is disrupted, adults will resort to sex as occupation without regard for family planning or protection.
Well, what do you do when you're bored?
Well,
Have a
I think
wank.
there's also been a reference to the COVID baby boom.
Oh, yeah.
So, like everyone was so fucking bored and just inside all the time. And it's like, should we? Come on, what are we gonna do? Let's just fucking go for it again. Because the only things we could do was watch TV, drink alcohol, or root, really.
and make banana bread, please.
Yeah, make banana bread, variations of banana bread. There was a lot of baking going on, but and also a lot of people talk about how when it's cold, especially in the UK or even really cold parts of Australia, that there's nothing to do. No one goes outside. You're inside. You're in bed all the time. You've got the heating on. You've only got the telly. You're just
friction
like,
at its
fuck
best.
it. Let's give it a go.
Turn off Graham Norton. Let's go to bed.
Look, it's 7:00. We've watched telly all day. There's nothing else to do. Yeah, come on. Let's
freezing
go.
in here.
Warm me up. Rub my back.
All over my back.
I love that though. I think it's really cool.
That is a good one. That is a light one to
finish off your traumatic ones.
On. Come on, black-eyed peas.
Well, thanks for listening. We hope you didn't have to flee from the terror we unleashed tonight. I did.
Tune in next week for Back in Time, where we literally go back in time just to bring you some drunken information on big bits of stuff that happened in the past. Way back when, please. And don't forget, if you like what you hear, tell your mates. And if it's still going, vote for us at the Australian Podcast Awards. Search for Stupid B Say What and look at our socials for how to vote. We'll love you for it. Good night, stupid bitches.
Good night.
Good night. Did you see that meme I sent you? Oh, I should have said this before, but see that meme I sent you about listen, if I go to one of the Von Trapp family parties and the kids start singing good night, that's my time to go get a drink.
I replied back to you. I said, I'm fucking crying over this song. That was fucking funny.
So true. Yeah, that stupid bitch. He's a stupid bitch. What a stupid bitch. That stupid bitch.